So this is the screen that you'll see when you first log in if you have administrator access at a club or a school. We'll just run through the main areas of the system, the main options that you've got, and then we'll go into each of them in a bit more detail where required. So the first is my club users. This lists every player and club official and anybody else who's registered in the system and is linked to your club or school, all in the one page. Or it might spill onto multiple pages that you can navigate to down at the bottom. Just to explain the colour coding, the red records are individuals who've been carried across from the old system, but they've not yet gone in and registered to sort of confirm that, complete that process. So you can see we don't have an email address for this person. So once those red records, once those individuals do register, they'll turn white for over 18s, and they'll turn blue when the parent completes the process for under 18s. So if we look at an example of a white record, this is someone who's gone through the registration process and provided an email address. They've accepted their terms and conditions, and the record has turned white. The fact that the ID number is still red just means that they've not clicked on the link to verify that email address. That's nothing to worry about. We'll keep sending those verification emails just so we can determine that we have the accurate and correct email address for this individual. So as I said, the blue records are under 18s, where the parent has gone through the process. So we see an under 18 record with a parental email provided. So that record's turned blue. So that's red, white and blue. The grey records that always appear at the top of your club users page are new individuals who've registered in Scrums, and they've selected your club when they've been asked which club they are going to be linked with. So they come to this screen to be approved by yourself. So you can click on one of those players. They might not be players, most of the time they'd be players, but if a new individual registered at your club in a different role, they would appear here. You can view the individual, look at their information. This is a player. If you recognise that individual and you know that they should be linked to your club, then you just simply approve, and that person is this one, is now turned white. If you don't recognise any of these grey ones and you think they've been created in error, you can delete them, but we would certainly recommend you approve them if you know who the person is. So at the top we have some search options. So yeah, you can just search for the first few letters of a surname and you'll get the results. You can search if you just want to see individuals at your club who are over the age of 35. You can just search using the age. If we clear that. Finally, you can filter if you just want to view players or if you just want to view staff, and search. Once you've filtered on any of these, you can then download that list of individuals into a spreadsheet if you wish to do so, but I'll show you that in the next screen because we have the same option for the player screen. So if I now go back to the dashboard, so that was my club users. If you're only wanting to look at your players, then we have this option, which looks very similar, but there are slight differences. So this only lists your players. It lists who that player is eligible to play for. So they might have your club or school as the primary, they might have a secondary, or indeed your club could be the secondary club or school in the list. The colour coding is the same as in the previous screen. The only difference here is that the grey records do not all appear at the top, and you cannot approve a grey record in this screen. You have to go back to your club users screen to approve the grey records. So in much the same way as the user screen, you can filter to quickly search for the player that you're interested in. Again, you can search by age from or age to. We also have an additional filter. So if you just want to view your under 16 players, or if you want to view under 16s and under 18s, you can select that and click search. We obviously don't have very many at this club. It's just a test club. And there's a gender filter as well. So if you just want to see your female players, select female and then click search. As I mentioned, there's this download button. So once you've filtered to view the players that you wish, you can then click download. And you get a spreadsheet containing effectively the same information that you had in the screen. If you want to have that to be able to share it with a coach so they can see the list of their players at a particular age group, and they can also see which of those players have been activated in Scrums. So if there's ones that haven't yet been in and we need to chase those up, then you can give this list out to a team manager or a team coach. I'll close that just now. So if we go back to the dashboard, so having looked at the registration process from the club's point of view and how they manage their players and other individuals at the club, I'll just quickly run through the process from the other side and show you the steps for how a player or another individual registers in Scrums. So I'm logged in currently as the administrator for a fictional club called New Rugby Club. If I look at my player list and find a couple of players to register as, so we've got one adult player here called Amy Bell, who the record is red, so that person has not yet registered. And we have a youth player called Daphne Brune, and the record is also red, as that player has not registered yet. So I'll try and register as these individuals just to show what that looks like. So you can see if I log in as an administrator, both those players are currently appearing red. And if we log out as the administrator and go to the registration screen, so scrums.scottishrugby.org/terms and conditions, this is the link that you want to get to all of your senior players and any other club officials who you wish to register in Scrums. Send them this link. They can read the terms of use and the privacy policy. If they accept that, they can continue to the registration form. So if we start with the adult player that we had, Amy Bell, enter those details. Enter an email address. The next questions are all optional if you do not wish to answer you can prefer not to say. Then create a password. Select the club, and as I mentioned, New Rugby Club is the club that we're looking at this example. Click that you're not a robot. Sometimes you have to prove that by going through the CAPTCHA process. Then there's been a match with the record that's currently in the system, so you confirm that this is indeed yourself, and then you just get a message to re-enter the password and select activate. So that's logged me into the system as that individual. Once you've logged in for the first time, you'll not have, the player would not have any special permissions, so they can just really view their own record. They can update their playing position, and they can update the field about whether they are able to play in the front row. And if they make any changes, they just have to click update. So they can view their own player history, and they can amend any of their personal details, their address. They can change their password for Scrums, and the only other thing they can do is view their club or school. So just the sort of homepage for the club or school that they're registered with. And they can view the key contacts for that club, and in fact if they click this, they can view a full list of contacts, club officials, that kind of thing for their club. So if we log out as Amy, and I'll go through the process for an under 18 player, so this is what the parent would be going through. So it's a slightly different login screen, scrums.scottishrugby.org/under18/terms and conditions. It's a very similar screen though, same text, same terms of use and privacy policy for the parent to read. So yeah, you get to this page, you're effectively searching for your child's record in the system. So the example that we were looking for was Daphne Brown. At New Rugby Club again. And there's a match there. So the parent just has to click that they're the parent or guardian for that child, confirm this. They are then asked to provide an email address. And that's the process done for the parent. A message to say thank you for registering your child. A reminder that as a parent there is no function to log into Scrums. Parents are not able to log in and view the child's information or to see anything further. They've confirmed the data that we have. If they have another child to register, they can click on this button and it will just return them to that under 18 registration form again. But if we log back in as the administrator, then we should see that those two records have now changed slightly. So we see that Amy Bell's record has now turned white. The user ID number is still shaded red because Amy has not clicked on the verification link that she's been sent. But you can see the email address provided is now in the system. The position that was selected is there. And if we look at the under 18 player, Daphne is no longer red. That record is now turned blue. Again, the number's red until the email is verified, but we can see that the email address has been provided. One other quick one to show you is what happens when somebody registers and it does not match to one of the records that's in the system. So it might be a completely new person, in which case that's fine. Sometimes it will be because the information has been entered slightly differently. So if we have a look at a player like Wally Broon, and he's also a youth player, who's currently appearing red. If we log out, and if we navigate back to the under 18 screen, read through the terms and conditions again, the privacy policy, accept, search. But if the player who was previously registered as Wally Broon is this time registered as William, with the correct date of birth and club, that search will not find any results. It just opens up a form and there's a few additional fields to fill in. Oh, so I clicked return by mistake there, so it's just asking me to make sure I've filled in all the fields. So this CAPTCHA process is just part of the security of the system. So we get the same message, thank you for registering your child, and a reminder that the parent cannot log in, and then you can click here if you have another child. However, if I now log back in as the administrator for the club, what we will probably see is we now have Wally Broon down here, 1/1/2001, and we have William Broon, 1/1/2001 here. So two records for one individual, and what we would advise you do if you have a similar situation is to approve the grey one, because that's effectively showing up as a new person who's registered, So if you go to the club user screen, the grey ones appear at the top. So we've got William Brown. So if we approve that one, we can view it in our player screen, but I'll just view it in this screen since we're here. So we see William Brown has now turned blue because that record has been approved by the parent and has an email address provided. So if we are confident that this record and this record are for the same individual, we can just delete the red one. And when that happens, the record is not deleted completely from the system, it's deleted from your club, and the Scrums team at Scottish Rugby will still be able to merge any information saved in that record, such as player history from the old system, into the new record. So nothing will be lost. But if you have an obvious duplicate, then we would say to obviously keep the one that's been verified, which is blue or white, or approve it if it's grey, and just delete the old one. So that's the registration process from the point of view of the player or the parent. And for club officials, the process for them is exactly the same as it was for the players, the over 18 players. The next screen to show you is the clubs and schools. So this lists all the clubs and schools in Scotland. You can click on any one of them to see some further information. Just their address, contact number, website, any social media links, their playing colours, the address of their playing fields if that's different from here, and their key contacts. So you can also click on any of these contacts to get an email address or a phone number if required. If we go back to the previous page, to view your own club or school, you can click up here on the left, My Club School, or you can click here where it's named at the top of the list. Once you're in this screen, it's slightly different because you can see all the same information that you can see for all the other clubs and schools, but you can also click Edit, and then you can make changes. The top section, club details, you're not able to change. You would need to contact Scottish Rugby if you thought there were any issues with that information. You can, however, change address information and all the other information, such as website, phone number, social media, etc. Any changes you make, just remember to click Save.